So you said you lost muscle on a vegan diet. How quickly did it come back on when you started adding more meat back in?
It came more gradually. I would eat a little bit meat here and there. And actually my brother, he's a big fan of yours. I told him I'm going to be on, a podcast with you, and he's super stoked because you helped change his life. During the time when I was kind of like playing around with it, like 2016, 2017, I started implementing a little bit more meat. I worked at a vegan restaurant at the same time, but I was still eating. And I felt a little better. And then my brother at the time was like super vegan. I was like, hey man, maybe I've talked to a lot of vegans that were started eating meat and started feeling better. You sure you want to like stick with that, bro? And then like fast forward like a year and a half later, he's like totally did a 180, went carnivore. Like at the time I was telling him to maybe eat meat, he was like super skinny. So then he went carnivore, started putting on more mass, feeling a lot better because he noticed he started to get skin issues and like has psoriasis or autoimmune. Yeah, he felt like it was just time, and your studies and what you talked about really helped him to the point now he's like gained a lot more muscle mass, feeling better, and just like that vegan diet messed me up.
Okay, guys, you hear me? Everybody hear me okay? Thanks, everybody. Good morning. Today we have a special guest. We have Mr. Kiyoshi Shelton. Kiyoshi, tell me if I mispronounce that in any way. But
how's everybody going?
Hey, I think we're doing good. Thank you for taking the time to do this, and welcome to our little community. More people will be jumping in here in a minute, and then they may have some questions for I'll relay. They're all muted, so it's just you and I that have sound on right now. But Kiyoshi, you're a musician. I was looking at your background, and a yogi, and you're somewhere out in Southern California, right? San Diego, LA, something like that.
I was living in California for about 10 years, but recently moved during the pandemic to Michigan. So I'm based here in Ann Arbor, outside Detroit.
How did you pick? Did you used to live there at one point, or how did you pick Michigan?
Correct. All my family, brothers, sisters, parents all live here. I got a bunch of nephews and nieces, and I grew up here, but have been away for so long. I missed out on a lot of their lives, and just figured that during the pandemic would be a nice time to reconnect, and ended up meeting my girlfriend out here, and just like multiple reasons to stay.
Well, good for you. I'm glad you found a place that's working for you. So just tell me a little bit how'd you get into music? How did that happen? I assume you have I've heard some of your songs, you got good talent at it, but how did you discover that, and how did you get started in that?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. My father's a music teacher, so I grew up in a musical household. He put me on guitar at an early age. Also grew up in the church, so I listened to a lot of, singing in the church, not really in the choir so much, but more so just like, our praise and worship, and really having that gospel influence. And then hearing my dad's jazz bands, he was a marching band director at the same time. And then eventually, I grew up in the hip hop culture. So being immersed in rapping and singing, and just understanding the power of it, to the point where I was in high school, I was kind of a shy kid. So poetry and rapping, I started to dabble in that, and I started to really feel like, this is a way for me to come out my shell and say what I really feel. And so this has been a great platform and vehicle for me to really express myself on another level, also be able to share my voice with others. So I started doing that, competing, freestyling, and writing songs more, seriously in high school than in college. I got really into it. And so, just kind of course, I've just been with music all my life, for the most part of my life. And now it's to the point where I'm teaching people how to cultivate songs, how to break through their fears, using, flowetry, voice activation as ways to enhance that and gain more courage. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I want to go back to that last thing you said. I want to elaborate on a little. I've got my little 9-year-old boy is hammering at the piano, and he is. I've got zero. I got whatever negative music talent it is. When I try to sing, my kids say, "Dad, that's okay. Don't do that."
Yeah.
I'm not good, but I'm really impressed by people that have that. And my little boy, he's in there singing in the shower, and he's got quite a good voice. And but he's a little shy. He won't do it in public, but he really enjoys that. So it's really neat. It's a neat outlet. You had mentioned something flowetry, which I'd never heard before. I could kind of guess what that means. What is flowetry?
Right. It's just a term I like to use in referring to poetry and or rapping, or maybe you're singing. So just using the voice in a flowy way. I always use the metaphor of a river or waves, like water, how it flows. So we can do this with our voice. We can flow with our words and start to do this and observe. And we don't need to rehearse, because we can spit these words that are so superb and sing. Or maybe we can rap and rhyme, do it every time. So you can do it in different ways, just flowing. So yeah, it's poetry, but it's flowing. It's all of the above. So
yeah, it's interesting. I was going to say music can provide us, sort of a way into so much emotion. A lot of it, I like to listen to happy stuff. I prefer to be happy. One of my daughters likes to like sad songs all the time. Why do you so like sad music? It kind of bones me out, but it's amazing how it can modulate our mood and our happiness. It's really a wonderful gift that we have, and I really appreciate people that are good at it. And so obviously, what brought your attention to me was, you had at one point we're singing songs about the benefits of plant-based diets and veganism, and then you fast forward, I don't know, 5 years later, you're like, nope, that wasn't the right way. And so tell us a little bit how that evolved. Like, I guess you delved into, with being a yogi, that's very common to see plant-based diets associated with veganism, so on and so forth. So tell us a little about that journey.
Totally. Yeah. So, I was in the health for a long time. My 20s, I moved to California. Before then, I was like eating kind of crappy in Michigan. So I moved to California in 2011. Before then, I was still doing music and working random jobs. Then I got into kind of the spiritual conscious yoga communities in San Diego, which is awesome, and I felt like I really I eventually got into veganism in 2012. I was on the streets in Santa Monica, and I was just watching, the brutal imagery of animals being tortured and this and that, that a lot of the vegans used to persuade people to become vegan, and it really worked. And I was just like, because we don't want to see that, right? Like, the cruel torture of animals, this and that is like, they're speaking to the heart of the human. It's like, man, if this is, and the guy is like, you can get protein through flaxseed and avocado and this and broccoli and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's like, it works for me. You might lose some muscle, but it's for the planet and it's for you. You're going to be healthier. And I was just like, you're right. And then of course I got into the yoga community where there's a lot of vegan friendly people, and that's being advocated. It's like, I feel like temporarily it was great. I felt good. I was still ripped, but I did lose a lot of muscle. And at the time, it's like, what I've noticed, a lot of people who are vegan at a certain time is like they're okay with it. They're kind of convincing themselves it's all right, and not really realizing, I don't know, like the value of muscle. Like I kind of like, now where I'm at now, eating more meat, I'm just like, dang, man, like it's about being strong and just like having a healthy mind and everything. So anyway, I got into veganism for a little bit. It was like maybe 2 years. And then I started to slowly transition to eating like more chicken. And then I got into, eventually beef, but just, chicken and fish for a while, and kind of vegetables and nuts and all that. But now it's to the point where I'm cutting off. Yeah, I don't really eat vegetables. More of a animal-based diet, but definitely, kind of animal-based, carnivore-ish. I still eat fruits, but definitely a lot more, beef, ground beef, steaks, and feeling good. And my skin's cleared up a lot. I have more clarity, stronger, lifting weights and eating more meat. So, it's been a cool journey. So I feel like, the vegan diet for me personally was good temporarily, but I don't think it was sustainable long-term wise. I'm seeing that in a lot of my peers as well.
Yeah. And that's an important aspect to really be objective about what's going on with your health. And, if you do it for health and it provides good health for you, then that's great. But for a lot of people, and probably the majority of the people, they end up not seeing that. They do see some loss of lean mass and muscle. And if it doesn't bother you, that's one thing. But I think as you get older and older, you start to appreciate the benefits. I'm in my mid 50s, closer to 60 than 50, and I appreciate having muscle mass. It's really has helped me a lot over the years. And I think that I can't blame you. You see these horrific images of animals being tortured, and again, you have to realize that those are very much cherry picked images. Because I talk to lots and lots of ranchers, and they are all saying this is not what we do. This is absolutely, they don't like it either. And so they're very much, they very much care about the animals. And if we were to show the effects of pesticides, because a lot of vegans say, well, that's unintentional. Well, pesticides are very much intentional. That's the whole meaning of a pesticide, is to kill pests. And you would see all the little animals that are laying dead in the field and suffering for 2 or 3 days before they die to produce your avocados and quinoa salads and your kale and all those things that are there, you would have a very different perspective, but it's not shown. Maybe it should be. I don't know. I'm not there to show people gruesome stuff, but I mean, that's the reality of this situation.
Right.
So it's fair to say for you, and I'm not going to, I think everybody needs to do their own research, that a vegan diet was worse for your health than a diet that includes animal products. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, for sure. Overall, yeah. I feel like I had to go through that. Sometimes we need contrast in life for me to see, like, okay, this side, and then to kind of explore and experiment with what works, what may works. Because with health, it's very, it's really challenging, to be honest, because I follow you, ShawnBaker, I follow Paul Saladino, and then this other guy, and it's like, wait, they're all making sense and they're all like geniuses in their field. So who's really right? So, and at that time, it was like, I was kind of going through the same thing, and I was immersed around, again, a lot of people that were like, oh, like, you got to eat plants and this and that. And then I'm seeing now, I was like, dang, it seems like plants have a lot of toxins and defense chemicals in them that aren't really good for any of us. So, and then it's like, oh, my skin's cleared up. And when I was eating a lot of vegan stuff, like, man, hold on, wait a minute. I think something here. I think grass fed, the meat way is to go.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's really, really challenging, and I think, and I tell people, don't listen to me or anybody, listen to your own body and see what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Do the experiments and see what actually works for you, because what I say may work for me and not work for someone else. So I think that's fair enough. But I mean, yes, plants have toxins in them. That's pretty true. For some people, it's not a problem. For other people, it is, and you just have to figure that out for yourself. And some people, it's a dose effect. And for some of us out there are very, very sensitive to it for whatever reason.
Right.
And it just helps to, I think a carnivore diet's a nice reset. It's kind of like gives you a reset for the body.
Right.
Did you know, like, I mean, because, we're always sort of weighing what makes us feel better or work better. Did you notice any improvements in like your mental abilities, your cognition, your ability to sing and produce music by including animal products versus not? Was there any difference for you with that?
I feel more grounded in my masculine overall. And of course, this translates into the music sphere, where I'm just like really, having more energy and being able to really just feel strong, more in my masculine eating the meat. So with creating, with being on stage, just like, having that more primal yet grounded energy and presence.
There is, it's going to be interesting, and I'll just so within the sort of the African American and the Black community, there's a very big push for veganism. It seems like that's taken hold disproportionately, and there's very few people that are doing this as a carnivore. I know a Dave Fox and Dr. Tony Hampton and a few others. Do you get a lot of pushback? People think, "Wait, man, you're crazy eating all that stuff." Or what's going on with your peers?
That's a great point. It's a very excellent, and I've been. I'm so I'm kind of a chameleon, I'm mixed kid, but I've been, I'm Black, of course, I'm definitely in the Black culture and communities. I'm also in other communities with mixed races and this and that. And, a lot of what I see, even particularly in the spiritual Black conscious communities, is a lot of veganism. And so I do feel kind of like, hey man, not too many of us, eating meat or talking about this very proudly. And so maybe there is a little, like, I've always been one to speak my truth and speak my mind. And even when I made that post that you saw, which is how we got connected, the video of like, yo, this was me back in 2015, but hey, this is my journey now. I'm feeling stronger, or this and that, I had quite a few, Black friends who are also vegan, like, hey man, that's animal cruelty. If you're about compassion for the planet, ahimsa, as a yogi and spiritual person, like, you would not be for the brutal treatment of animals. I'm like, it's not about that. So I'm going into the spiel, and I know there's a lot of people that even probably don't come up to me that are thinking this way, because a lot of people, even my music peers, a lot of them are vegan. And so it is like, it seems sometimes challenging to navigate this when I want to talk about, hey, I'm eating meat and this and that. And like I said, what I go through in life is what I'm going to rap and sing and speak about. So I may be offending people, but you can't please everybody. So at the end of the day, I'm going to do me. And that's how I feel. And so I'm fine with that.
if you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. And you certainly don't please yourself, because it's an impossible task. And I think it's, I mean, most people are so removed from how our food is produced. And I think if, somebody from your community were to go to an actual ranch and see how these animals are treated,
right.
They're out there with cow back scratchers, and they're I mean, they are treated extremely well, for their entire life, much better than they would be in a wild or any other situation. And so it's always interesting to me for people that don't seem to get that aspect, or they don't want to believe it. And the other thing, I remember somebody from the music community, Snoop Dogg was out there pushing Beyond Meat burgers, and I'm just like, that's complete utter garbage. And it's just sad to see that people are going to fall for that sort of stuff,
Yeah. Kim Kardashian, so even Kevin, I went to the website, I think after, a lot more people are, people I follow like yourself, and other people are just like, Beyond Meat, this is not even food, so I went to the website and checked it out, and you got Kevin Hart on there as well, who's the, one of the most popular comedians, Black man. And what would you say? I mean, let me throw a question to you, Shawn. Like, how can we get this information out there for people to see, like, hey, this is not what we've been taught, that, you can still be compassionate and realize, like, what's happening behind the scenes of a lot of these farms is not kind of what we've been shown.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting question. And I think, particularly, like, let's say for the Black community, I mean, how many times you got to ranches and do videos? It'd be interesting to do a collaboration where you just go out to a local rancher. I'm sure we could find some for you, and just say, this is a real deal. And I mean, you do a video. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you never know what's going to take off and go viral. And I think the more people step up and say things and just get that information out there, because most of us, how we get our information is highly, highly curated. I mean, there's a target, like you see all this advertising. Again, I saw that for the it seems like the 100th time this year, another article telling us to eat bugs. It's like, well, bugs are better than beef. And I'm like, we're being bombarded with this messaging, and it's pretty clear. I mean, we all know that, you get targeted ads on your phone and on your feed. Everything's targeted. They're manipulating you. And so, you just have to sort of use your voice, and you've got a very beautiful voice from a musical standpoint, and so you can inspire a lot more people than me singing is not gonna inspire anyone. I do what I do, but I mean, I think those are some things that would be interesting, and because most people in the community don't understand how our food is made. 1.5% of the people in the United States feed 330 million people, so only a tiny percent of people actually produce our food. And, they're always being attacked. It's like, how dare you? And you're like, these are the people that are feeding us. And every time I get a rancher or somebody on a podcast, I'm like, thank you for feeding me. And you do a tough job. And I think if we could just help to just educate people, because there's, most people, like I said, if you get all your information from a vegan documentary, it's going to be biased, it's going to be skewed, they're going to misrepresent, just like anybody does, totally. Everybody engages in it. Whether it's a politician, whether it's somebody on one side of one issue, they always skew the data. So it's just the easiest thing to do. It's like the nice thing about health, like, you can look in the mirror and you're like, hey, I don't need somebody telling me I'm healthy or not. I know, I can feel it. I can see it. And that's the one thing, that's the one truth that is really hard to hide from people. And I think it's pretty easy to see. So that's kind of, how I would, think is things that could potentially be done.
I love that. Thank you.
So you said, California was, and I live in Southern California for a while, and I get it. It's warm, it's sunny. You want to be by the beach. There's fresh fruit and everything's around. California produces all of our fruit and vegetables for the most part, or a large part of what we produce. And so that culture is there. A lot of sort of, the hippie or the yoga, that culture's there. In Michigan, absolutely. I don't know. It's probably not the same because it's cold and in the wintertime, everybody's all bundled up. Do you see a difference in the attitude there with regard to food between Michigan and California?
Yeah, I mean, great question. Just a lot more people are there, and it's the wider community network of people that are in those spiritual communities and in these wellness communities. Although there are definitely pockets here in southeastern Michigan, all throughout Michigan, actually, spending more time here in the past 2 years. I'm seeing a lot of that, just like anywhere else. But course, it's a little more just challenging to find. Where in California is like, I feel like it's so much happening where I was able to kind of see what's going on. But yeah, you still get that kind of that attitude here as well. But I feel like there are more people opening up to like what you're saying about eating meat, even like through my stories. And I've noticed some friends in the conscious community like, yeah, I'm doing that too. And I was this way, but now I'm like eating more meat. I felt better. I'm like, oh, that's dope. So I feel like slowly more people are seeing like it's not what we've been taught so much, by these companies like Beyond Meat. So
yeah, I mean, they're clearly manipulating it for profit, and often these corporations prey on people that maybe poor, and they're just like, we're gonna give you cheap food, and it'll be cheap calories, it'll fill your belly, but it's not helping you out in the long run.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, that's the other thing is, I think it's important when you talk to people that say, it's not meat you need to give up, it's all the junk food, the cheap processed food you need to give up.
Absolutely.
And that's really the game changer there. The other thought I thought about is, traditionally, and I don't know, maybe you said you grew up in a sort of a household of musical household. There was a church was involved.
Yeah.
And a lot of musicians, it seems like, particularly in the Black community, come from a sort of a church background or a gospel background. Is that a still prominent part of that community, or is it starting to fade away, or is it still a good place to, get a message out?
It's definitely still prominent. Totally. The church has always been a staple in the Black community and urban communities in general, like with the Latinos, Catholicism, and African Americans, Christianity. So it's still heavy, heavily influenced. And, there's a lot of remnants and takeover from, not takeover, but a lot of traditionals and griot stories, and just like the traditions passed down through, Africa, West Africa, through the slave trade. And so like there's a lot of gospel songs that were kind of this allowed a lot of resolve and comfort and healing and transformation for the Black people in general. So yeah, it's still pretty heavy here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in culture, when you talk about, like, say, for instance, Africa, and I've been to Africa a number of times, and it's very much a part of that culture. I mean, you think about it, you're a place where there's so many animals, and 100 years ago, they were still hunting elephant and rhino, and these things were on the menu. And so we've always had a tradition of eating particularly big game meat.
That's what I tell a lot of, I speak on that quite a bit, just like in Africa, and there's so many of our ancestors ate meat, like, and I'm half Pacific Islander. I'm like, we ate fish and meat, and like just people of color all over the world ate meat. But then now it's this whole trend of being vegan, and in the urban communities, you'll find, I talk about this a lot. So you'll find a lot of fast food places open, while the acupuncture, chiropractic, holistic, all these other, places that are supposed to be for our health, where they were closed. But then you have lines wrapped around McDonald's, Burger King, and the liquor stores were open. And, liquor, fast food, these things are super detrimental, have no nutritional value. Like bacteria that'll eat, feces will look at fast food and be like, nah, I don't want that. So this is a lot of like people of color, urban communities, particularly because they target those places to be intentionally purposed and placed in these, in the ghettos and inner cities. So a lot of people are getting no true nutritional value. And so now you have like, people finding salvation through the vegan diet, which is, like I said, I can see that, I totally understand why. But understanding that the value for meat, man, it's like, we gotta fix some things, Shawn.
There is, it's an interesting thing because they talk a lot about food deserts and poor access to fresh fruits and vegetables within some of these inner city communities. But the way I look at it is every town I've ever been in the United States has a burger place. Mm-hmm. And to me, I'm like, you just go and get the hamburger patties by themselves. And if you don't have the Coca-Cola and the French fries and crap, then you've actually got health food, and it's relatively cheap. And I honestly think if you could just convince people to go into wherever, Wendy's or McDonald's, and just order, 4 or 5 burger patties, they're not that expensive, and eat that, and it's already cooked for you, and it's super convenient. And instead of eating all the other stuff, you would see a big shift in some of the issues, because the African American or the Black community is disproportionately affected by things like diabetes and obesity and some of these heart disease. It's unfair because it so often goes with just what's being targeted as far as food is concerned. And I think you could, the mechanism's already in place. They've already got the distribution centers. You've got meat distribution centers all over the world, all over the United States, even in the poorest of communities. And you can say, okay, I'll go in there and I'll just eat the burger patties. Now, I think after a few years, McDonald's might figure that out because they don't make any money on the meat. They're making all the money on the French fries and they sell you a Coke that's this big for 99 cents, but it only costs them a nickel. So this is where all their money's coming from. It's kind of crazy.
Right. So I got a question, Shawn, with the McDonald's meat. I mean, I understand like totally with the gluten and the glyphosate and the chemicals and all of the crap that are in fast food, removing that and just sticking solely to the meat. I think I agree that'll be a lot better. But I've even heard, I don't know, that the meat is not even really meat. It's like Frankenstein meat. I don't even know what's in there.
No, that's a misconception. It's actually 100% beef. And it's some of it maybe there are some companies I know, like in Canada, McDonald's has teamed up and they're doing some grass finished meat, but it's generally it's not fried in seed oil. If anybody's worked at McDonald's, if you go there and ask them, hey, are you cooking it in oil? They'll say no, because it's a waste of money for them. So it's actually reasonable. I mean, I think, like I said, on the scheme of things, relative to what else you could get, it's really good food, and you could say, hey, maybe it might be better for me to buy regeneratively raised meat ultimately. But I mean, for someone who's on a limited budget, that's a really good way to get high quality protein, high quality nutrition.
Right. Agreed.
And, when you talk about glyphosate and things like that, meat doesn't really accumulate it really to any significant degree. Where you find that mostly is in grains and pulses and legumes. And so all the vegan burgers are going to be much higher, 100-fold times higher in things like glyphosate and some of these other things that seem to be sprayed on the crop. So if you want to, if you're worried about that, and I'm not sure that that's really how much of an issue it is, it might have an impact on our gut health, but it's unknown. But I mean, like I said, if you wanted to avoid that, you'd stick to mostly meat for sure.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, I was referring to the glyphosate. I heard like a lot of the wheat has that. So like the buns, maybe. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think 95% of the food at these fast food places is absolute garbage, but I think the beef is one where, if that was your options, that would be a very good healthy option. It would be better than going to the grocery store and buying cereal and all the junk food that everybody is, it's trying to eat. Even in more quality, honestly, even more nutritious than the beans and the legumes and stuff in the vegan community that are out there, because it's just a sort of it's inferior source of protein for sure. How much? So you said you lost muscle on a vegan diet. How quickly did it come back on when you started adding more meat back in?
It came more gradually, I feel like, because like I would eat a little bit meat here and there. And actually, my brother, he's a big fan of yours. And I told him I'm going to be on a podcast with you, and he's super stoked because you helped change his life. Actually, I can.
What's your brother's name?
His name's Sabro.
All right, Sabro, good stuff.
Actually, and so actually, he was during the time when I was kind of like playing around with it, like 2016, 2017, 2018. I started implementing a little bit more meat into my diet. I worked at a vegan restaurant at the same time, but I was still eating, meat here and there. And I felt a little better. And then my brother at the time was like super vegan. He was just like, "Oh, this is the way to go." And I was like, "Hey man, maybe I've talked to a lot of vegans that were like, started eating meat and started feeling better. You sure you want to like stick with that, bro?" And he's like, "Nah, man, this is the way to go." And then like fast forward like a year and a half later, he's just like, he's like totally went, did a 180, went carnivore, and was like at the time I was telling him to maybe eat meat, he was like super skinny. So then he went carnivore, started putting on more mass, feeling a lot better. Because he noticed he started to get skin issues and like has psoriasis or autoimmune thing going on. So he felt like it was just time. And anyway, like your studies and what you talked about really helped him to the point now he's like gained a lot more muscle mass, feeling better. And just like that vegan diet messed me up. So I had to shout out my brother Saab, because he's the one that like kind of really helped me look into the benefits of eating more meat. So yeah, after that time of seeing what he went through, that's when I really started stacking on even more meat, because of getting inspired by him and his journey, and of what he told me about you and people like yourself.
Yeah, it's important. I think, I can't overestimate or overemphasize how important it is to have protect our lean mass, because that is something, like I said, as you get older and, as I'm getting closer and closer to 60 years of age, I'm like,
Right.
this is important stuff. And you put it down, you put most of it down in your 20s, 30s, and then it gets harder to put down. But if you're spending your 20s and 30s eating, beans and rice and losing all your muscle mass and your bone mass, you're giving yourself a tough task to later on in life to sort of get that back.
Absolutely.
What is you said you eat a little meat and a little bit of fruit. What do you typically eat? What's a day in the life of your diet look like?
Yeah, right. So I usually in the morning, sometimes I do intermittent fasting. I play around with that, but I usually do like 4 eggs on average. And then I try to get maybe some like chicken or beef sausages with some avocado, and then I'll do like fruit as a snack, and then later on I do it really ranges, but I've been eating a lot of grass-fed ground beef, some rice, get some carbs in, avocado, a lot of avocado, a lot of fruit, organic fruits, of course, and different steaks. My girlfriend helps make a lot of food around the house, so yeah, really ranges, but beef, steaks, and sometimes some vegetables, but I don't do too much. So really,
So
it varies.
the important thing is you get enough meat in there and you don't eat junk food, or it doesn't sound like there's much junk food in
absolutely. Yeah, I've cut a lot of gluten off, for the most part, almost all gluten. I was working a wedding over the weekend and I indulged in a little gluten. But yeah, I really don't drink much liquor, gluten, dairy. I try to get like, kefir or good probiotics as far as dairy is concerned, but don't do too much of that. And nuts and seeds, I've cut off a lot. So, and then just drinking a lot more water than soda.
Yeah, so that's a fair. I think for most people, I think that's a pretty good healthy diet. And if you're not dealing with some strange autoimmune or condition, you can probably do well on something like that, which you clearly are. I didn't mention, how old are you right now?
Yeah, I'm 40.
40. Okay, well, congratulations, you made it into the 50 club. So,
Thank you.
What are your thoughts for the future, as far as, musically or career wise? What are your plans?
Absolutely. I plan on teaching more people what I do, how to really break through their fears, face their fears, and gain more musical skills, and allow what I teach to be a tool for self-expression. I plan to do that more globally. So I teach a course online called Expand Your Expression, teaching people the basics of songwriting, freestyle skills, and live performance techniques. So I plan to really expand that. Maybe eventually creating a physical school or a wellness center, as music and fitness and health are my main passions. And I'm actually studying to be a fitness trainer, getting ISSA certified pretty soon. Continuing also to perform. I'll be performing later on at this Ann Arbor Art Fair. So between that, performing, teaching, and coaching.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but there are, I think, and I haven't looked into the literature on this, but I'm sure there is some that, we see that when people are expressing themselves through music or song or some other art form, it actually improves their overall mental health and their state. I know, you can, I've seen, like, some of these, like, particularly gospel churches, and it's almost like it's like an otherworldly experience. You're just riding a wave of emotion, and it feels really, really good. It's almost like a runner's high kind of type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I can see incorporating that into a wellness journey where you just, it's kind of funny. When I was in Laguna Beach, there's a Laguna Beach Laugh Club. It's literally, there's people that stand there and they just laugh. They just sit there in a circle and laugh at each other. And you're like, that seems really, really weird. But at the same time, I'm sure they're getting a big benefit from that. And so do you feel, when you are, I guess in a state of flow or something, when things are working really well, does it have a positive mood enhancing effect for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, there's so many levels of like transformational healing that I experience when I am expressing. So most definitely. It's more than that. I feel like it's working on levels, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And there's studies and science that have shown this, from the neural connection in the brain activity to just, decreasing stress, feeling better, connecting with God, connecting with each other. I mean, there's so many positive benefits to what I do, with singing, using the voice. This is all ancient too. All tribal societies have done this. They story told, they danced, they moved, and they sung. And so this is what what I teach and what I do when I'm on stage. So yeah, it's awesome.
And it's interesting, it's almost different cultures have a different musical tradition. And I know, like, you go to the UK, people love to sing, and
Right.
you go to the United States, and it's not as common, where people don't like to sing as much. It seems like maybe the exception in the African American community, where there's more oral singing tradition, where you see that, which I think is really cool. And
Yeah.
I just think about how fun it is, and it's interesting. There's actually data on meals and music, and what kind of music is playing when you're eating impacts how you eat. And restaurants know that, so they tend to put music on that's going to make you eat more and drink more. It's kind of funny how all that ties in, and where how everything affects everything in our body. What did you outside of do you ever like venture off into different styles of music? You said your father was a jazz guy, and mom was gospel, but what sort of other music has influences your style?
Yeah, I love everything, really. Rock. I love house music. Let's see what else. R&B, even some country. But yeah, a lot of house music, jazz, neo soul, even some reggae. I love Bob Marley. Pretty much every genre though, because I even love classical music. I love studying, listening to that ambient sounds. The 432 hertz sound healing, kind of a spiritual type of tones and sound vibrations.
It's
I love it all.
It's interesting. The classical music, it's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it still sounds good. I mean, that's why it's classical, because it's stood the test of time. Where some of the songs you hear on the radio, you may hear never again. It's just like they're flash in the pan. And I kind of compare it to, like, eating a steak versus eating a Beyond Burger. It's like no one's going to know this stuff. But it's interesting with the I forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, the classical music is interesting. Oh, the reggae. Yeah, I often I really enjoy that. And I'm not like, wouldn't consider me a reggae, but I could just see myself, if I were reincarnated in another world. That lifestyle just seems like it's so relaxed.
Yeah, chill.
Chilling,
Irie man.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good thing. Someone's asked me what is house music, and I don't know, maybe you want to describe that better than I can. But usually they play it in clubs and stuff.
Yeah, more like clubby, like kind of 110 BPM, beats per minute. So it's more like dancing. It's kind of like dance music, basically.
Yeah, those are songs that go on for like 2 hours.
Forever. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I'm also into tribal music, so world music. I love different cultures. I love traveling around the world and kind of hearing the different sounds, and I like meshing them together. So even when you come to see me perform live, I'm meshing a lot of what I just mentioned all together with hip hop. So it's cool. Like, I get a lot of older people like, I usually don't listen to rap or hip hop, but I like your stuff, because I do that. I fuse a lot of the music together, and then I also, speak uplifting, conscious, inspirational lyrics. Instead of just, in rap, you hear a lot of people, especially people who don't listen to much rap or just watch what's on TV. Like, oh, it's all negative. People talking about gang banging and shooting and drugs. That's part of it, but that's all kind of purposely designed for people to see, for certain reasons. But hip hop was based on like love and connection and community, from the inner cities of the Bronx and Brooklyn and New York. It just kind of got manipulated.
That's something about, like, when you go back and you listen to some of the classic R&B stuff, and it's usually, the message is usually uplifting for the most part. I mean, there's been some, obviously there's some exceptions to that, but
right.
Like I said, you hear a lot of this stuff, and it's it's edgy if you put something really sort of dark out there for some people. But Yeah, I mean, I don't listen. I don't like to listen to music to make me depressed. I mean, I'm like, I want to feel good, you know. I'm
Right.
selfish, but I prefer to hear stuff that's uplifting. And like when I'm working out or cooking or eating or just
Yeah.
going throughout the day, I like having something that's going to make me sort of do that type of stuff. But
Feel good.
how you'd mentioned about you teaching people how to, I guess, overcome their fears. How do you do that? I mean, how do you get people like, there's people that probably that are quite talented, but they can't get it out. How do you help people do that?
Yeah, I really start them at the base level it's not just like, okay, tomorrow you're gonna like get over this fear. Like
Mhm.
I allow them. I really encourage people to realize that it's okay to feel the fear, to get nervous, because I still fear it. I still sometimes experience that myself, and I've been doing it over 20 years. So first level is just like letting them know it's okay. Number two, providing a safe space, and number three, just really just giving that support and opportunity for them to share and shine as they are, accept themselves. So it doesn't happen overnight. Of course, it's like a gradual process. But again, once you provide that safe space and just support, knowing that, let them know, hey, I got you, and like it's okay wherever you're at, and then take them step by step through the motions.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, and again, I know nothing about this, but I'm
Yeah,
thinking, I'm thinking from my perspective, like when someone's learning a sport, you
right,
take just the very basic patterns,
exactly. Yeah,
maybe when they're learning to express themselves, maybe it's just basic vocalizations,
right.
and to do it out loud in front of the
Yeah,
people, and you don't have to worry about messing up and remember the song lyrics. And
right.
just, is that sort of how that works a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So yes, again, starting at the base level, like you mentioned. So I'll just have clients start to tell me, like, I'll ask them questions. Hey, tell me how your day's going. How are you feeling? Okay. All right. And then maybe move into some like start to do what I call scatting or make up some sounds. And then might play some music. Boom, 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 gap. What's coming up? All right, now tell me about your day. I was walking to the store and then I got some food and then I went home, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now what rhymes with that? Then I'll like start to incorporate some rhyming words. All right, now give them the opportunity to, or option to maybe start to rhyme their words together and use some melody. And I'll teach them what all that is and I'll like demonstrate beforehand. But again, yeah, start at base level, start to incorporate rhyming, storytelling, and then just getting them talking. And then from that, they will have content. And then from that content, we create more structure. And it's like, hey, you just created a verse because of what you just told me. It's like you are freestyling. So just talking, because like freestyling is like allowing your style to be free. So you're just not even thinking like what we're doing. We're freestyling, but we're not having, there's a certain type of rhythm, but it's not like what you think of when you hear freestyle rappers. Um,
Yeah, I'm impressed by how they're very impressive, the people that can do that. You can give them like, here's 5 words, do a
right.
freestyle rap on these 5 words, and they just are able, and they're so gifted linguistically that
Hmm.
that's something I think is a different level of just brain utilization, which some people have developed and some people don't, and it's really
Yeah.
kind of an amazing
Yeah.
talent.
It takes practice. We can all do it though. So, and that's what I do. I show people that, anybody can freestyle. I've taught a lot of old white ladies how to rap and little kids how to rap and just create little raps. And then they start to feel better. Like, man, they have something they can go with and share with other people, or like, man, because again, it allows the people to feel heard and to actualize their voice. Because a lot of times in society, we're shunned, where we're like, our expression is being suppressed. Like, in order for you to perform at that level or even to sing, you better be good. Um, Many communities you'll find this. A lot of people scared to dance or scared to get on stage. So it takes a lot of vulnerability and trust. And so, yeah, I'm the coach to help people step into that and know that it's okay to feel scared. Because yeah, I mean, we're all social creatures. We all want to be accepted, right? And a lot of us, public speaking is the number one fear. So a lot of us go through our life like, oh shit, I better say the right thing. Maybe I shouldn't ask a question. What if so it's like training the muscle to be able to speak and to move through that fear and discomfort,
Yeah,
which is where you'll find growth.
I was going to say, I mean, just regarding that, the first time I was asked to speak in public, and I had the same thing. I was afraid of it. I didn't like
Hmm.
it. I never wanted to do that. And I was asked to speak at one of the college I went to's commencement address, and it was in front of like 10,000 people. And this is my first public speech. That was a little challenging one to do, but I got through it. And so now I spend all day long talking to people. Some of it, some of it works, some of it doesn't. But I mean, does the fear ever, like when you get on stage, in front of a large group? I know, like when I compete as an athlete, I'm always nervous. And even over and over again, there's a certain level of nervousness, and I think it helps. It kind of puts you in that right. It kind of helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that something you see?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I still feel nervous here and there. And as an athlete, I know a lot of athletes feel that before a big, tournament or whatever. And I encourage like my students and clients that I'm working with that it's okay to feel that. It can be used to propel you forward. Once you ground into that energy, and that nervousness. And I always encourage people to take a breath, feel it, and just use that nervousness to your advantage. Don't shy away from it. Know that it's okay.
Do you have a routine that you like to do prior to performing? Is there some sort of ritual that you do to kind of get yourself ready?
Absolutely. Yeah. I do a lot of breath work, just slow breathing, inhale, 4 seconds, exhale, 8 seconds, just like visualization. I see myself performing. So if there's a sound check or if I'm just on the stage, I will see myself actually performing, rocking the crowd, whether it's one person or a million. I'm gonna rock the crowd the same way. I also do some slight stretches, jumping up and down, get the blood flow going. And I may practice a little bit, just go over some lines, kind of get into the motions, but really grounding in, and if I'm performing with other people, we say a prayer, and just set some good intentions, and bless the stage, bless the people, and rock it. Yeah.
How, I've seen, it seems like, I'm always impressed by some performers because a lot of times it's it's not just standing there holding a mic and singing, it's moving and it can be very physical. I mean, particularly those people that are really active on stage and jumping around. Is it a workout up there?
If you come to my show, I'll be sweating. I'm definitely working out. I love to dance, do choreography. I'm singing, I'm rapping, I'm freestyling. I'm talking about people in the crowd in a good way. I'm inviting people to dance. I go into the crowd and get people dancing with me. I go back on stage, I sing, I communicate with my band members. And it's a whole like ceremony for me. It's spiritual, it's mental, it's physical. It can be exhausting in a good way because I'm usually tired at the end. But it's like I just gave birth to something, which is like birthing my creation to the public, sharing a piece of my soul. So it's more than just spitting out words.
Yeah, you're in a obviously a very competitive industry. I mean, if you're looking to make it as a career, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are very talented that never sort of make it, so to speak, and it's just seems like luck of the draw. Have things changed significantly in the music? Because you've been in it for quite a while now. Have you noticed with the advent of social media and internet, has that changed the approach?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since social media and Instagram, TikTok. I mean, this is how I'm finding about you more so. Seeing your social media posts and Instagram, you popping up on my feed. So the same thing happens in with independent music artists. People like Charles, what's his name, Chance the Rapper, who really blew up immensely. Because he has a business mind, but he's also found a way to really like make great strides and make a bunch of money and get a lot of exposure, going the independent route, not getting signed by a big label. So he's a good example of what people can do and already are doing. So there's tons of artists out there blowing up on TikTok, Instagram, social media in general that are using these outlets. So it is very it can be competitive if you look at it like that. I see it as everybody has a lane. There's room for everybody. There's a shit ton of money. We are abundant by nature. It all comes down to how do we tap into, those pockets of money and exposure and opportunity. I know my lane, and it's not like the mainstream typical route of getting signed to a major label. Maybe it would be, but I'm not really focused on that because I feel like just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And even in my coaching, with what I'm doing with coaching, I can make a lot of money doing what I'm doing. So, and I'm always going to be creating. So I don't really get too concerned and caught up with, I got to make it the traditional route. Because again, there's a lot of like little kids and teenagers that are blowing up with their music, with their YouTube channels and just putting out silly videos. So there's a lot of opportunity for anybody these days. And that goes again for music.
Yeah, I was going to say, no doubt the world is changing very much from where I started and what you're seeing today. And I think it's, there's a lot, social media has had an impact on that. Some of it's bad, some of it can be good.
Right.
If you focus on the good side, you can do a lot.
Totally.
So just for those people that haven't heard of you before, don't follow you, where do they find you on social media? If they wanted to hook up with you with coaching type stuff, how do they do that? Yeah,
great question. It's at KiyoshiMusic.com. I'll put it in the chat, but it's at KIYOSHIMUSIC on Instagram and almost all my platforms. If you want to visit my website, it's the same words, KiyoshiMusic.com. Again, KIYOSHIMUSIC.com. And mainly on Instagram. So either Instagram or my
website. My Instagram is not responding right now for some weird reason. But
okay.
Anyway, well, Kiyoshi, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you, and thanks for doing what you're doing. And I wish you the best. And I look forward to seeing your music come out. And like I said, if there's anything I can do, let me know. Keep up the good work, and appreciate you taking the time, man. And stay cool. I know Michigan's hot in the winter. I know it's hot.
Yeah, it's
summertime. So
right, it's nice right now. So yeah, I really appreciate it, Shawn. You're a true huge inspiration for me, and I love your videos that you post, especially your shared
side by side
videos. Crack me up. And yeah, man. And if you ever want to collab and maybe visit a ranch, and I'll do like a freestyle or rap about what's going on with the farming, and we can put that out for the people.
I'm sure we can find something up in near Michigan or something like that. It might work. So that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you come out here, I'll come out there or whatever.
Awesome.
But yeah, you guys take care. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you, Shawn. Many blessings. And
thank you so much, Kiyoshi. All right, you guys take care. We'll see everybody tomorrow. All right, later today. I got another one later today. See you guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.